Lately, I've been working on a one-shot for my buddy's YouTube channel, and it's taken up quite a bit of my time, but it had me thinking over some ideas, and I've come up with 3 questions that I have found when designing a one-shot that I think are important for everyone to answer. The first is, how do I make it fun? So I kind of mulled it over. I was thinking to myself, like, man, what can I do to ensure that my players are having a good time with the one shot that we're in? And for me, I like to think of experiences, right? So if I'm working on a one shot, I want it to have a specific experience in mind. Take a movie. Take something that has a pre-existing movie. So you could do like a murder mystery dinner. You could do trying to escape a train. There's a broad range of different experiences that people have when they watch a film. And usually those are within 1.5 to 2 hours. So they're really great to kind of merge down onto the setting of a one shot. So my brain kind of was mulling over what to do specifically around that. And I've settled personally on making it more of like a murder mystery, a whodunit, kind of along the veins of Knives Out. I took a lot of inspiration from that. And I think that that's important and healthy to do. When you're making a one-shot, when you're writing it and you're designing it and coming up with ideas for what you want to have as part of your experience for the players, it doesn't hurt to steal from pre-existing ideas or pre-existing media that performed well and were enjoyable for you. Because if you know what you enjoyed about it and you know what you like about it, well, when you DM it, right, when you game master it, you're going to be trying to make sure that those fun moments happen for the player. Hopefully, if you're one of the DMs who's not trying to have fun with your players, that's a different story and a very different issue. But so when you ask, how do you make it fun? Capture the experience. That's the key thing. If you know an experience that's enjoyable and fun for you, and you try to capture and recreate it, that's great. You're moving in the right direction. So you've got an idea for how to make your story fun, right? You said, I'm going to use this element of Star Wars or this element from The Fifth Element, whatever you're choosing, right? Now you've got to figure out how to make it engaging, how to hook the player right off the bat. That leads us to our next question. How do I hook my players and make them care about this story? Well, in a lot of ways, that first opening moment, those first 15 minutes of your story are going to be what tells your players whether or not they want to continue caring about it or if it's about to become a Monty Python episode. And it's fine if it becomes a Monty Python episode. Those can still be a lot of fun to do, but if you're really looking to emotionally hook your players and get them engaged on a level that's more than just passively observing while trying to disrupt your story, it's going to take a little bit more effort on your half to start them off. Something that I really enjoy doing, and I think is a very wise decision for you if you're a first time or trying to make a one-shot you think would be a lot of fun, is to create pre-generated characters that all have unique goals. Creating these unique goals attaches your players to the world that they're in, right? So one of your characters might have a goal where somewhere on the train, they are aware there's a problem and they're trying to solve it. Or maybe there's a person that they came to this train specifically to find and the other players don't know about it. So they're trying to suss out where that person might be without letting the other players know. I think secret goals and hidden objectives for each of the player characters goes a long way in keeping your players engaged in a story and in a world that might otherwise seem boring to them. No offense. And the last question, how do I ensure that it's going to be only 4 hours? Well, it's tricky. It's a very tricky thing to do. In my experience, I make all of my one-shots modular. So modular means that you can move things around. When you're DMing, you tend to put players into different scenes, right? We'll use the train example for this. You have a train car, and as a dungeon master, you've created 12 different scenes. Each train is its own little scene. Maybe one scene is a fight, maybe another scene is a cry for help, maybe another scene is a puzzle. And each of these scenes is kind of important to the plot, but not necessary. I design each scene to be able to be swapped in and out however I need to, right? So the players don't know that there's 12 train cars. And as they're going through, maybe they move through the train at a pace of 1.5 cars an hour. Or maybe it's half of a car every 2 hours. I don't know. Players play at very different paces, and sometimes things you think will be very easy for players to solve or engage with and will take no time at all suddenly take an hour and a half of their time. And now, an hour and a half out of 4 hours leaves you with very little time left for all of those other things you have planned for. So I try to make things modular. I never make it a straight, you have to do this to get to here. If it ever feels like you as a dungeon master have become stuck because the players have not finished or gotten to a certain objective, that feels bad for me and can suddenly feel like the players are being held hostage after the 4-hour mark has been hit and you're 30 minutes over and you're frantically trying to just scrub past things to get them to the end. Instead, make everything modular. And in making things modular, it lets you be able to say, hey, I can DM this for different people and get very different experiences and still enjoy DMing the one-shot that you're designing. For me, when I'm designing one of these one-shots and when I'm thinking about modularity in general, I try to make sure that every little bit of the module, every little piece feels interesting. Like if I'm not looking at it from the perspective of, oh, that sounds like it adds to the plot, and instead just feels like I've added, another 15-minute combat. Throwing a bunch of combats in can be fun, don't get me wrong, and I think having a room for them is fine, but it can also be incredibly boring if that's the only thing you're throwing at your players. If it's four hours worth of 3 different combats and then, a half hour here, a half hour there of puzzles or dialogue, it feels like too much, at least for me. And same with puzzles or role play. Know your audience and be able to shift based upon what you've prepped ahead of time. One-shots are interesting. It's only 4 hours. So you're trying your best realistically to end or to be close to ending around 3 hours and 30 minutes. I always keep an eye on the clock. Once I've hit the 3-hour marker, I move the entire one-shot into the end game. Whatever that might look like, whatever that might be, I try to make the game close to ending. Usually I've found that you can design, you can design bosses, you can design events in your one-shots to be triggered based upon a specific time. So if you're trying specifically to keep things within this small time frame, you can say, hey, you know what? At the 3-hour mark, the big bad shows up. And now the players have to engage with this. Or 3 hours, 15-minute mark, whatever you want it to be, right? A specific event happens that's going to trigger the ending portion of your plot. Building it around that, as opposed to building it around the players having to find or having to go through specific rooms in a dungeon to eventually get to the boss, doesn't work as well as being able to choose to say, hey, we're at my 3-hour marker, I'm ending the game now. And that's kind of just a little, one of the tricks I have towards making sure that my one-shots never go over 4 hours. Keep an eye on the time. Well, that's it. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you had a great time watching. If you did, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe down below. I try to put these out weekly, but we're moving into a period of a lot of work for me in my personal life. So if it's not as consistent, I apologize. I have a Discord link down below. Feel free to join if you've got any questions or if you're interested in game mastering at all. I'd love to see you there. Until then, so long.